All right, everybody, thank you all for coming out. We're talking about the war on health. Our speaker is Charlie Robinson. He is the MC of Anarchapulco. He is the author of many books and the host of many podcasts. He is the macro-aggressor-in-chief. Please give it up, Charlie Robinson.
It's my favorite place because you can have a beer while you give your presentations, and I'm going to take you up on that. Oh, it does? All right. Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be back. Before we get started, I know this is like the 8th time we've mentioned this, but this Third Eye Carnival is going to be a lot of fun because I'll tell you, they did it last year. I went down to Blowback Gallery. Has anyone been here? I know I saw you guys down there. It's like if a conspiracy theorist built an art gallery, right? And there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do. It's very interactive, like the cornhole with powdered cocaine into Zelensky's nose, and it's not in reality, of course. Can you knock down 3 buildings with 2 planes? Things like that. So they give you some opportunities. So a lot of live bands. Listen, we have been separated from each other for many, many years. The last 4 years, they've done this. It's intentional. The idea is to get everybody back in interactions with each other, kind of like this, obviously. If you're coming to an event like this, you're halfway there. So hopefully we'll see you. It's 2 weeks from Friday. It's right after 4th of July, so come on down Friday, Saturday. Let's party. Not you, Rodney. I'm just at some point we'll get Rodney out of his shell at the end of this, I promise you. Josh and I were talking about this, about like what really the theme should be for this conversation. I've written some books. They're available there. I do a podcast. I feel like I'm talking to myself like a lunatic half the time because I'm ranting and raving about the things that I see. And then I meet people in real life and I say, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And they're like, yeah, everybody's seeing it, right? It's intentional to try and keep you feeling like you're all by yourself, right? There's something about that does something to your soul. It makes you, if you feel isolated, you feel like there's no point in going on. Well, there is a point in going on. You need to get out there and live your life and interact with like-minded people. You're going to get energy from that. You're going to make connections. You're going to meet people that will get you beef that isn't injected with mRNA technology and things like that. We have got to be proactive in just about everything that we do. And sitting around and waiting for someone to throw a party, well, look, they done did it already, all right? This is it. So I hope to see you guys down there in real life and hanging out with like-minded people that help us fight. I guess, I don't know, what would we just call this, the war on our minds, really? The war. I mean, this is what it feels like. I met, by the way, thank you for wearing the Anarchapulco tank top. Not scared of you either, but I do respect you and like you a lot. And I love the tank top. Anarchapulco, again, one of these events where it's like you get a lot of like-minded people together. You put all these crazy anarchists in a room together, and you know what they do? They don't fight with each other like the red ants and the black ants when you shake it up. They work well with each other. They come out of these conferences with great ideas and a lot of networking. So they go off into places and start companies and start ideas, and you get the crypto guys talking to the health freedom guys, and anything is possible. So the Anarchapulco shirt reminded me. Jeff Berwick, the founder of Anarchapulco, I wrote Controlled Demolition with him. They had me out there this year as the host and MC of the event. I'll tell you, you haven't lived until you've MC'd or tried to MC the world's largest anarchist conference. Talk about herding cats. Holy shit. I love those people, but fuck, it is impossible to get them to do anything. Like, you guys all got to come over here. Just come over here. Just for 5 fucking seconds. Come over here, And so you just forget it. So I'll be there next year if you guys are interested. It's February. At the bare minimum, you're going to get out of Denver in February, which is a win. But Acapulco, Mexico, the largest anarchist conference in the world. It goes on all week long. You'll meet a lot of people. It's always a constantly rotating cast of characters, except for me, I guess, and Berwick. but if you can, come on out. One of the guys I met at Anarchapulco, the shirt kind of reminded me of this, was, you just have these random instances where maybe you run into G. Edward Griffin at the, I got put on the same flight with him out of Mexico City. So here we've got an hour delay between our flight from Mexico City to Acapulco. I see G. Edward Griffin there. He cannot escape me. I'm going to sit next to him. This poor bastard has no idea what he's in for, except that I'm going to ask him a million questions. And that's just before we get on the airplane. So it reminded me of the interviews. Have you guys seen the interviews he did back in the 70s? You'd know him if you saw him with Yuri Bezmenov. You know who Yuri Bezmenov? Yes. You'll know you've got the right video if they look like they're going out to Studio 54 afterwards, right? So you can tell it's authentic from like the late 70s. And Yuri, his backstory is he was a KGB agent who left. He got a bit disillusioned with the whole thing. He was a linguistics expert that was stationed in India. He saw that they were messing with the Indians in a way that he thought was disrespectful, even by KGB standards, and he said, I don't really want much to do with this, and he wound up breaking away, and then kind of blowing the whistle to the extent that he could years later on how you destroy a country. And part of how you do this is that you destroy the minds of the people there. And you go, well, that sounds all well and good. It sounds kind of impossible, to be honest with you, or maybe it would take a lot of work. And he said, no. It's really remarkably easy. If you've got about 25 years, you can do just about anything. So he said it's a 4-step process towards demoralization, right? Okay. First step is called destabilization. It's a 20-year process. The reason why it's a 20-year process is he says that's the amount of time that you need to educate an entire generation, right? From the time you go into kindergarten, the time you get out of school, that's about enough time. If you give me 20 years and you give me control of the education system, I can do whatever I want with this country. So he talked about this process of destabilization, right? Then after that, it moves into a new phase. It's a shorter phase. It's only 5 years, but it's the destruction phase. During the destruction phase, that's when up is down and down is up, and you start to make some massive changes inside of society just to make sure that everybody recognizes that things are not the way they used to be. Step 3 in this process, you introduce a crisis. Now, he was very specific about the crisis, not about the type of crisis, but about the duration of the crisis. He says, it has to be at least 6 weeks. Everyone goes, 6 weeks? I don't know. You mean like COVID? 6 weeks? I don't know. What are you talking about? He says, well, here's the thing. He said, if you subject a human being to nonstop fear and terror and tell them that everything is coming apart, and you do that for 6 weeks straight, after that, his words were, I could shower them with authentic information and it won't matter. He said they are broken at that point. They are officially demoralized. They no longer have the ability to fight for themselves. He says, once you reach that point, it's time for step 4, the final step. That's normalization. Might be the most devious part of it all. We've always taken our shoes off before we've gone through security at the airports. Right, everybody? Right? What? Well, tell that to your kids, because they've used to walk right on the plane. Absolutely. But there was a smoking section on the airplane. Okay, I mean, if you can't understand that things change. There was the curtain was going to do anything. Now, when you hear that interview, or you go back and you watch that, or you watch a presentation that Yuri Bezmenov did, and I went down that rabbit hole and watched a bunch of his conferences, it's all theoretical in the 70s. You go, yeah, well, I'm sure you're right, man. 20 years and another 5 and then 6 weeks and normalization. Yeah, sounds right. But then you start looking at examples. And you look at 9/11, and you go, holy shit. I mean, did we not have a crisis situation there, and then everything afterwards was normalized? The shoes, the TSA, Department of Homeland Security. You can't take water on an airplane. What are you, a terrorist? You crazy? Do you know what water can do to an airplane? Nothing, but no, we're not going to let you take it on, right? It's part of this. It's part of this dog training, this psychological conditioning that they do. And this is not accidental. Now, it feels accidental, and it feels disjointed. And then Yuri Bezmenov lays out a step-by-step plan, and you go, holy shit. It's like, he said, look, I'm not even really telling you anything that the average KGB agent doesn't know. Because when we went through the school, they taught us all of this. So if I know it, everybody knows it. I felt like, boy, that would have been important information for the American people to have, maybe, I don't know, before 2020. But we didn't get that. We didn't get that for a reason. We didn't get that because they wanted us to be broken, unfortunately. Because when you have a broken society, one of the things that you can do in the aftermath is you can rebuild it. And that is where you get into these strategies. Have you ever heard of a term called Clower and Piven? Yeah, it's a 60s sort of, it's these two people, Clower and Piven. They came together and they said, listen, if we want to remake the welfare system. And they go, great, how do you plan on remaking the welfare system? They say, well, our plan is to actually do something a little different. We want to invite everybody in the world or in the country onto this welfare system and then break it under the weight of everybody. And then after it's broken, then we're going to tell you we know how to fix it. We're going to fix it. Then we're going to build the welfare system that we really want. That's the strategy. The strategy isn't, I'm going to go into this house that needs new cabinets and a fresh coat of paint and take the cabinets out and paint it. No. Their idea is, let's bulldoze the house first, and then we'll rebuild it with new cabinets and new paint. That's what they want to do to us as a nation, as a society, because once you break somebody down, demoralization, destruction, crisis, and then you get to that fourth stage of normalization, you can normalize just about anything. I mean, and if you don't think that that's possible, just take a look around, because we're seeing it. We're seeing the normalization of, 174 different genders, and I was cake gender at lunch, and then I had an epiphany, and then I decided that I'm two-spirit, and that's even not really even a thing, but I made it a thing, and how dare you? And so you can watch them turn what used to be normal kids or normal people, or maybe you're a dork. Maybe you like Dungeons and Dragons and you don't have a bunch of friends. It doesn't mean you're non-binary. It just means you're kind of a nerd. That's fine. You'll find other friends. You don't have to connect up, but they don't want that. They want people so confused and so disoriented that they throw their hands up and they go, save me. Just save me, daddy government. For God's sake, all I want is somebody to tell me what to do. Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to believe? Just make it stop, right? That's it. If they can get you to the point where you just say, make it stop, they'll make it stop, but on their terms. And they have conditions, okay? They want things to go a certain way. So it is the epitome of problem, reaction, solution. It's just, where are we now? Where do we want to go? We want to go there. Well, that's deeply unpopular. How are we going to get there? Well, let's work backwards. Let's create a crisis that is so bad that these people will be begging you to take them over there, to this place that was inconceivable just a few years ago. If you've got enough time and you've got a corrupt mainstream corporate horror media, which we do, you can make people believe absurdities. And that is one step from committing atrocities, right? You just have to work on their minds. So you see this in the schools. You see that kids are coming out. I mean, they are mentally unwell. When a selling point of your university, and I forget what university this is, but I saw that one of their big sales pitches to the kids was that they have the best safe space program in the country. The best. Man, that is not a sales feature. That is not a unique selling proposition for your university. That's a fucking embarrassment. That's what it is. If you're telling potential students, you know what we have here at the university? We're not going to prepare you for the real world. We're going to give you a place where you can cry yourself to sleep and suck your thumb because it's going to have HD TVs and beanbag chairs and all this stuff. And that, unfortunately, is the direction that we're headed in a very sick society. That's mental illness, right? What about physical illness? I mean, have you looked around? People are hurting out there. I mean, people are eating bad food. Their physical appearances are reflecting the food that they're putting in their body. The pharmaceutical industry, I don't need to talk to this audience about the dangers of the criminal pharmaceutical industry. It is a drug cartel. You ever talk about the Sinaloa cartel? They got nothing on Pfizer. I assure you. Pfizer's killed far more people than the Sinaloa cartel could ever dream of. Made more money doing it too. So I think that how many people have young kids, like kids that are in school in here? Because I do. Not a ton. There was an interview that I saw. I don't watch C-SPAN because it's super boring, but every now and then someone will send you a clip, and they'll say, did you see this clip of Tom DeLay? Do you remember Tom DeLay? He's like a Republican Senate whip or so, I don't know. He's some designation. I don't really care. But he was some big shot in the Republican Party. And he's doing this speech, or not even a speech. He's being interviewed on C-SPAN. And he's saying, and this is 2015 that he's giving the interview, and he's talking about an instance that happened maybe a year or two earlier. And he's telling the interviewer, I was in a meeting at the Justice Department of all places. I was at a meeting at the Justice Department, and they talked about normalizing 12 perversions, including pedophilia and bestiality. And this is a 2015 interview, and you hear that and you go, you sound crazy. Okay, if you say you were in that meeting, I guess I believe you, but whatever. Now look at what he said. First of all, I never thought I'd say it, but I actually believe an American politician that he really was in a meeting like that. Why was the Justice Department leading that meeting? Why is the Justice Department trying to normalize 12 perversions? And you hear that years ago and you think, well, maybe not. What do you think now? What do you think now when you see the pride parades that have been hijacked by a group that's dressed as dogs and furries and all of this? And you look at this and you go, I had no problem with the pride parade, but what is this? What are we doing here? This is all part of Yuri's demoralization. He talks about this. If you can just break their brains a little bit over time, it doesn't have to be all at once, right? You just get them to believe, there's always been 100 genders. There's always been guys dressed like Doberman pinchers wearing leather bondage outfits, wanting me to pet them. That's all it's been. How dare you? Yeah, what do you sound? You sound like you're a anti-dog or something. I don't know. But it's. But again, it's funny and it's kind of, it's funny to watch this until it's not. Until you realize, boy, if I was trying to culturally subvert a country without firing a shot, guys, I don't think they could do it any better than this. I mean, they have got people questioning everything about themselves. What a trick, huh? What a trap. Now we start to move from the minds, the war on our minds, war on us physically. We're aligned with crypto, right? Crypto privacy. Petrodollar's done. best kept secret in the world, right? They didn't go out and make a big announcement about the petrodollar going away. Doesn't mean necessarily every dollar that's being held in a central bank in a foreign country is going to come flooding back immediately, but it does mean they're going to be coming back at some point. So why aren't we talking about that? Why is there a media blackout on that? Why is there a media that used to be the thing that would get you invaded. You know what I mean? Let's go ask Muammar Gaddafi how the Libyan gold-backed dinar was working out for him, right? You start talking about selling oil in exchange for something other than the U.S. dollar, and the American military decides that they need to drop some democracy on your ass from 30,000 feet pretty quick. That's what always happens. All of a sudden, quietly, and without a shot being fired in this regard either, the petrodollar is going away. So we've been targeted socially. We've been targeted physically with our health. Obviously, financially, we're adding $1 trillion in deficit to the debt every 100 days. That's unsustainable. I wonder. It's unsustainable. It's always been unsustainable, and yet here it goes. It keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. At some point, maybe it'll fall apart. But I wonder. Are they trying to create? Are they trying to bring in the controlled demolition of the American empire? Yeah, I think so. It's just a matter of when, right? So when Jeff and I talk to people about this, we want to put on a happy face with regard to the book, and we want to say, like, this is what we see, but we're going to help you prevent you from getting hurt by this. The truth of the matter is, there's only so much we can do. Everybody's going to be impacted by this. If you deal in the U.S. dollar, you're going to be impacted with the dollar's demise. And now it might not happen right away. It might be a gradual thing, but it's going to happen. So look, if you are somebody, and there's few of us, but if you're somebody that recognizes this for what it is right now, you have a unique opportunity. Might even be a duty and obligation, depending on how you look at it. But since you see this coming, and the majority of people don't, you got to do what they tell you to do on the airplanes, right? You got to put the mask comes down, put it on your own face, and then your kids and the people near you, the people that will listen to you, the people that respect your opinion on things, that don't think that you're some unhinged, crazy conspiracy theorist talking about nonsense. If you see what you see, and we all see it, you have to sound the alarm bell for the people that will listen to you. And some people will understand it, and you're going to be able to help them position themselves to just be out of the way of this tsunami of catastrophe that's coming our way, this financial tsunami. But you're never really going to be out of it. You're just going to be out of the way of the brunt of it. But I'll tell you what, there's going to be opportunities for people that moved themselves out of the way, that saw what was coming on in advance. The Bitcoin people think differently. They see things differently. They see things in advance. They're not waiting for the mainstream media to tell them, hey, yes, you see that thing. That thing that you think you see, you do see it. Good job. Congratulations. They're not waiting. They know what they see, and they see the wheels falling off. And if you're like me, and you probably are, you see it too. Maybe not in every aspect of your life, but in some. And to the extent that you can, we got to start moving ourselves out of the way of this. There's a war on for your minds every 4 years for voting. Good luck with that. You have a choice between two guys that have proven that they hate your guts. So I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the solution here. There's a war for your children, for sure. There's a war on your wallet. They're coming for you just about every way in which they can, but I'll tell you what they don't want you to do. They don't want you to take a look at this logically and make moves in advance. What they want you to do is they want you to be scared. They just want you to be scared. They want you to be scared that Trump is going to put you in prison, or Joe Biden's going to drop dead on a stage, or that whatever, some thing is going to happen that's going to get you. But the reason why they do that is not just to scare you. They do that because they know, psychologically speaking, it puts you in a different frame of mind. It puts you into a fight or flight mode where you are unable, and really it's unnecessary for you to make long-term decisions because you may not be around long-term. You have to make a decision in the moment right now. Short-term thinking, that is not the best for long-term planning. But if they can get you scared and they can get you dependent on them, then they've got you. So my advice to everyone in general, but obviously this audience here is, don't let them scare you. You know who you are. You know who they are. You have no respect for them. If you do, you shouldn't. And if you think you hate the mainstream media, there's always a little bit more room. I assure you, they're the worst people in the world. Stay together with your groups. Stay networked up. Make sure that you have human interaction. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with the election. I just know expect the unexpected. But if you've got your head screwed on straight, and if you've reevaluated your relationship with your bank, and you know that you are an unsecured creditor in that bank account that you have, and that if they want to, they can take your money, which is actually their money, whenever they choose to. And if you look at the G7 legislation from 2014, you know that they actually legalized a bank bail-in. I would suggest, and this is just an assumption on my part, but it's an educated one, I would suggest that you don't take the extraordinary step of changing legislation like they did with the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, which did away with the old Smith-Mundt Act, which prohibited propaganda inside America to be used on Americans, and they changed it to the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, which legalized propaganda to be used in America on Americans. Now, I would suggest that they didn't do that for nothing. They did that because they intend to lie. And they're going to be doing some lying, so they wanted to make sure that that was legal. But right after that, in 2014, they legalized bank bail-ins. Not bailouts, where the government gives the money to the banks. Bail-ins, where the banks take the money from the depositors because they mismanaged their bank. You are third position on your bank account, behind the stockholders and the bondholders. You're an unsecured creditor on a bank account that you technically don't own. Reevaluate the relationship you have with your bank immediately, because once again, I don't think they changed that legislation to do nothing with it. So if you know they've legalized stealing from you, don't put your money in a place where they can steal it from you. So Cyprus in 2014 was that test run.
And I have a friend there, and I asked her about it recently, and she said that if you had over 100,000, they took 80%.
What? That was nice of them, right? They at least gave the little guy a little something. Yeah, anything over 100,000. By the way, we don't have to worry about that. We're the United States of America. We have the FDIC, man. Don't worry about that. What are you talking about? We have the FDIC. The FDIC has 1.6% of all deposits on hand. So if you have $100 in your bank account, the FDIC has $1.60, but that $1.60 is invested in bonds that are upside down. So the backstop for the bank is insolvent. If your plan and your strategy is, don't worry, I'm covered, the FDIC will protect me up to $250,000, you're probably right. If the branch manager steals all the money out of the vault and disappears to the Cayman Islands, you're fine. Not that there's any money in the vault. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, let's have here's a little, I don't know, call it homework, project, whatever you want to do. Next time you're at your bank, unannounced, just go in there and see if you can withdraw $6,000. Count how many questions they give you. They want to know what are you, what are you doing with this? First of all, we don't have it. You don't. Of course, hookers and blow is the only acceptable answer that you should give these people. You should give these people every answer under the sun except for what you're going to buy a car with it. Tell them you're going to buy the biggest boatload of crack you've ever bought in your life. I mean, whatever. So again, we collectively play a role in this, right? It's one thing to be a normie out there that has no idea that any of this stuff is going on. It's quite another thing to be somebody that is aware of it, to hear these conversations, to understand, to know 100% that I'm not lying about the bank stuff, and then to not act on it and have that happen a couple months from now. Oh my God, you will regret it. The person who doesn't know anything about anything isn't even going to have that regret. The people that know in advance, you got to take action, all right? So it's one thing for us to know it. It's another thing for us to complain about it. God, I'd have a PhD in complaining if it were just that easy. But that last part is action. Put your money where your mouth is. Get your money out of the banks. Reevaluate the relationship you have with schools. All of this stuff is open for negotiation. If you don't trust the state, don't do business with them to the extent that you can. Thanks, everybody. We're going to open it up for some Q&A.
Questions?
Yes, I'll take some mushrooms.
I know you will, bro. With all the rise of the fear and anxiety that we have, I feel that there's another momentum that is happening, and that is nationalism and patriotism. People are starting to stand on their laurels again, and you're seeing that more and more. People fighting back on common sense issues and in school boards and in city councils. And one of the greatest things that we have come across lately, in that I wanted to have you looked into the audit groups, the people that are auditing the governments and government offices, and seeing how they have brought things back in order.
There's always, I don't think I've seen to the extent that I could say I'm well versed in it, but no. I mean,
it'll bring your heart back, because there's a lot of people that are fucking pissed.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I'm not a statist, so I don't get all red. I don't tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree and get all teary-eyed for the flag and stuff like that. But I want what's best for my family. I mean, but you don't have to even care about the state to want that. And you're going to piss enough parents off, enough moms are going to wake up and snap out of this and say, I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of this. California is just this year $212 billion in deficit. You know what their priorities are? Do you know what they think one of the most important things for California to focus on? And I know, as somebody that lived there for 30 years, they're not giving black people any money. They're not getting anything. You know what they are? We'll compromise. They'll compromise. You know what they're getting? A third bathroom in elementary schools. That's what you're getting. That's the priority. That's the biggest priority. So, yeah.
So you mentioned going to a bank and trying to withdraw some amount of money, like $6,000, $10,000. I wanted to say that I actually tried doing that earlier this week. On Monday, I was at the bank and I was trying to withdraw 10 grand. I had to fill out a bunch of paperwork. They made some typos and it took them like 30 minutes just to get me the right paperwork. And then they said, you can come back Wednesday. And then they called me and they're like, oh, Wednesday, it's Juneteenth. Try coming back Thursday, all to just withdraw 10,000 because they didn't have it on hand.
Yeah, I would like to say I'm surprised to hear that story, but I am not. I love that it was like they have big signs at First Bank now where it's like absolutely positively no sunglasses and hats and masks. It's like, You wouldn't let me in this place without a mask. What are you doing, you hypocrites? They said you're going to get it tomorrow. Right. We'll see.
So when I look at everything going on with the government, I do my best to think about why they're doing this. Like, you know, they make these laws and they normalize these things, not just to normalize them, but to actually pit us against each other and make us hate each other and fight, which just aids in their total destruction. I do think that a lot of people are waking up to this and seeing what's going on with the destruction of freedom and our country, really. And I have run into people myself where they're seeming to snap out of it. I'm just curious, you know, something I ponder, and I'm curious your insight in how we can potentially hurry them along or, you know, appeal to anything in their minds to snap them out of it.
Well, I mean, courage is contagious, right? When you went to back in 2020, when people would go to the grocery store and you'd be in the produce aisle and everyone would have masks on, I'd come strolling through like a total pain in the ass without my mask, just minding my business, like without a care in the world, acting like a normal person. And what I would notice is that every now and then you'd see someone else kind of pull their mask down. They felt a little enabled. They felt a little comfortable because of that. It's such a small thing too, right? You would think that who would care, but they need that comfort of seeing somebody else. They need to see people stand up for their kids, and then that makes everyone else say, yeah, you're right. You know, the one person in the audience that stands up and says, I'm not going to take this anymore. And then everybody stands up. That's the sort of thing that we need. It's the courage to stand up to these people. I mean, look, everybody comes to it at their own time, right? If they ever come to it at all. I mean, you either figure this stuff out right away and you go, oh, yeah, this is it all makes sense. I get it. Or, you know, maybe a couple years from now, some people, you know, your normie friends call you up or they send you an email and say, hey, about this thing that you've always been talking about. So sometimes people aren't ready. Sometimes they need to they need to really have something happen to a hot button to them in particular. It might be a lot of times it's schools. Of course it's schools, because you've got kids involved and parents feel very helpless, like that system is set up and they have almost no say in it. I mean, or when you do have a say in it, they sick the FBI after you, right? They put you on a watch list because how dare you?
Hi, Charlie.
I'll see you at the concert.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Would you say something about how the war in Ukraine and how Gaza and what's happening in Gaza fits into this manipulation and fear and basically the basic structure of what's happening to our minds today? Would you talk a little bit about those specifically?
Yeah. If I had to boil down my position on, you know, like how I feel about the world, one of the things I always start with, I just say, I'm anti-war. I'm anti-war. There's got to be a better way to figure this out than to go drop bombs on people, because you're never hitting the people that you really want to hit. You're always hitting a bunch of families. I'm not interested in that. I'm anti-war at my core. I'm also a realist. I understand that there are conflicts going on. I understand that there's religious undertones that that take this beyond just you're living on my block and I want you out of here. It becomes like my God is better than your God, or my God told me this is my land, or whatever, and all that stuff. That adds a whole new element to it. But the most disgusting industry in the world is the military-industrial complex. Of course, we all know that. We see that. We've read books about it. We've written books about it. It's a stain on humanity that you can monetize human suffering, whether that be the military-industrial complex or the private prison industry. You know, equally disgusting in my opinion. Yeah, big pharma. Yeah, I mean, these are criminal cartels, and when the military-industrial complex acts in a way, kicking off these wars and fueling these wars and financing politicians. They made a calculation a long time ago. It's just cheaper to buy a politician than it is to do anything else, which is the reason why you see a commercial for, Lockheed Martin at the Super Bowl. You go, what are you selling? Who's your customer base? Are you selling? No, this is money laundering. This is, we're going to give the media, a couple $1,000,000 for this ad space. Keep talking about those wars, right? There's big business in this. Unfortunately, I wish the wars were easy as, explaining it away as, that it was just territorial disputes. But you start to, you dig into the dirtiness, especially, you mentioned Ukraine. What else is going on in there besides the actual war? Is that a laboratory for bioweapons testing? Is there all kinds of unusual, is it a big laboratory for central bank digital currencies that they want to roll out? I mean, what is happening in that place? So it's confusing and disgusting, and I wish that we were out of it, but unfortunately, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that we're in this situation.
I just want to ask if you're familiar with the artclubmovie.com.
No. Could you tell me a little bit about it?
There is a 12-year-old student in Longmont public school system that went to a 3-hour art class after school and came home and told her parents she was transgender. They went to the principal the next day or two, and the principal said that was an after-school program, and he didn't have any control over it. Within a week, they found out that he knew everything about it, and it is what's going on in our public school systems right here in Colorado. artclubmovie.com. It'll scare the hell out of you.
I'll have to check it out, because this is I mean, did you ever think, of all the things as a parent you worry about with your kids, this was just not on my list of things that I thought I had to ever worry about. Like, Dad, I want to talk to you. I've had an epiphany at school. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. So what are we supposed to do with our money?
With our money?
Yeah, buy property, buy cars. I mean,
I'll start by saying I am
assets.
not licensed to give financial advice. I have been a real estate broker in the state of California and the state of Nevada for 25 years. So I have a little background in real estate, but in terms of like what do we do with our money, the unlicensed guy would say, look, you can, once you understand the game and the trap of fiat currency, and my friend Tony Arterburn says fiat is fake, it's the head of the snake. And he's right. It's the head of the snake. And once you understand that, and you understand that it's fake money backed by it used to be backed by gold, then it was backed by the military, now it's backed by a promise to not use our military on you, I guess. I don't know. It's very gray right now. I like tangible items. I like gold. I like silver. I like that old shiny yellow rock that people make fun of. I like productive farmland. I like water rights. I like Bitcoin. I like Monero. No. Yes. They can do that. Yes. Yep. It's a risk. For sure. Yeah. Anything that so you get into my world of real estate, yeah, everything is a risk. It can be rezoned. You can bring in some woke mayor who decides that he's going to change the property taxes. It could be They could decide that you own an apartment complex in a really nice part of town. Well, they've decided that they want to try the San Francisco experiment. So George Soros has financed a district attorney race in your area, and now they're going to reimagine crime where crime doesn't exist, and it's just kind of a concept, and it's racist anyway. And yeah, sure, some homeless guy can live in your house, and you can never get him out. So there's all of these things that the government can most definitely do to mess with you. So you have to be paying attention. And there is no one great answer for all of that, except I would say diversify, be paranoid, get your money out of the banks. Quite literally, the joke of like mattress money and all that, that's better. Oh, well, you want me to just bury my money in the backyard? Well, as opposed to keeping it in a bank? Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, at least as long as you don't have a bunch of people going in your backyard, you have a better chance of it being there than in the bank. I mean, it's in the bank until it's not, right? It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. You're screwed. And you know how bank runs work. They happen on Friday. Oh, we had a glitch with the banking software. We're working on it this weekend. It'll be fine. Saturday. We're still working on it Sunday. Yeah. We're working on it Monday. Is the bank open? Well, we had to bring in a consultant. Okay, Tuesday. Is the bank open? Bank's not opening. Your bank's not opening. I'm sorry, guys. Your bank's not opening. We have made a decision. The bank has been liquidated. And you go, oh, that'll never happen. Silicon Valley Bank? That was a year ago. That was less than a year ago. It can happen. I'm not trying to speak it into existence. I certainly don't want it to happen. I've never wanted to be wrong about something so much in my life. You know what I mean? Really. But it's just, at some point, you take a look at everything and you get honest and you do the math and you go, if this was a company, we'd be in bankruptcy. We have no money. This experiment is over. The minute the general public figures it out, it's over, right? So to the extent that they can kick that can down the road, they will. Here's my biggest fear of all the bank runs, the this, the that. In the past, given history, we know what they like to do to paper over potential bank runs in advance of them, and that is starting wars. Wars are very effective at covering up a lot of mistakes. So in the aftermath of that, history will be rewritten. The economy was fine in 2024. It was turning a corner. It's the best Biden we've ever seen. He's cogent. That's what they say. He is an embarrassment to the human race. But listen, I mean, I think that if you look back on history, you'll see a couple things. You'll see that wars were started to cover bank runs, but bank runs still happen, and when they happen, they happen slowly and then all at once, as Hemingway said, right? So keep your head on a swivel and start making moves in advance. I mean, I would say this. I would say, thank God we are in a time of relative calm right now. I never thought I'd think of 2024 with all the nonsense going on out there as a calm period. But you'll look back on this time and say it was calm compared to where things got. Take advantage of it. Make your moves now. Talk to the people that will listen to you. The people that won't listen to you are never going to listen. It'll be too late for them. I'm sorry. I wish I could connect with all of them, all my friends, but not everybody's going to listen. That's okay. We talk to who we can talk to. I'm glad to talk to you guys. I appreciate you guys. Jessica, it's almost sparkler season. That's what I'm saying. It's the day after 4th of July. We got sparklers. I'm just saying, we can make a TikTok video with you. Get a bazillion. Yes. Oh, sorry.
I've seen you, Charlie, over the years on the net, and I got to say you're better in person. But
thank you.
No, I want to ask. It's a fresh breath of air to hear you speak of various different topics, and just your opinion. I'm assuming you have some books here, and you've probably read a lot of books over your life. But what book or books, two books, do you see society being taken to?
Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you the book that woke me up to this whole. I can tell you exactly when I read. I read it in March of 2007. Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. John Perkins used to work for a company called Maine, which is the equivalent of Halliburton, a multinational engineering firm. And he would work in conjunction with the World Bank and the IMF. And they would go and partner up, and they would convince countries, not cities, not a regional shopping mall, but entire countries to sign on with him. Nice topography here in Ecuador. Great place for a hydroelectric power plant. We could build it. It'll cost this much. Here's the numbers behind it. It'll pay itself off in 11 years. IMF and World Bank already said you guys are good for it. We got the loan signed up. Just, we'll put a couple million in the Caymans for you. You'll be good. The president, you'll be good. But this is the deal, right? You sign up for it. John's company comes in and builds the hydroelectric power plant. And it works, and it starts generating electricity and revenue, and you start to pay these bills back. But you were never going to pay that thing off in 11 years. They knew it. They knew you were going to fall behind. They said it was going to produce this much energy. It's really only going to produce this much. They said your bills are going to be this much. You're actually going to be this. They know you'll fall behind in it. So he was talking about debt as a weapon in that book, and I went, oh my God. So it's 2007. I'm reading this book. I'm living in Las Vegas working in real estate, and I'm like, we're giving I'm giving a landscaping guy who's buying a house from me who makes $10 an hour. I know that because he filled out his mortgage application, $10 an hour. We're going to give him a no-doc, no down payment, no income verification loan for 100% of a $405,000 house. And this poor guy is like, it's the American dream, right? He's gonna buy himself a first. He's so happy, and I'm reading Perkins' book. I'm like, he's gonna lose this house. He just doesn't know it yet. They're gonna take back tangible assets like the World Bank and IMF did. And that book woke me up to it. I read that and I thought, wait a second. I didn't even know I was part of this. I'm doing this on a smaller scale. Well, really, my loan officer is doing it. I'll blame it on him. Loan officer is giving this guy an approval on a mortgage that he'll never be able to take care of. And I remember asking the mortgage guys, like, why are we doing this? This is crazy. And he says, well, we'll sit on this loan for like maybe 48 hours, maybe 72 hours. And then we'll sell it out the back door to Wall Street, and it's not our problem. I went, oh. It's his problem, though. They go, well, yeah, it's his problem then. I go, okay. So John Perkins' book did it. I mean, in terms of the economic side of things, like where we're going, just in general, opening up my mind to the possibility that everything that you know is wrong. Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock, probably. I had a chance to meet Graham when he came through here for a book signing. I felt like a hero because I smuggled him a 5-pack of joints, and I quietly gave it to him because he was on the wagon for a weed, and I knew he was talking about how he had been jittery and everything. So I went out and got him some. I felt like it's the least I could do for him writing that book. You know what I mean? It's like it opened my eyes to the world. I figured I would.
Thank you for the talk. Let's talk about propaganda a little bit more. That was really interesting. It also really struck a chord with me. I saw a tweet from Edward Snowden just the other day talking about these revelations now that during COVID, the CIA was actually on Filipino Chinese or social media trying to talk down the Chinese vax because it was just basically geopolitics. China was leveraging their own vaccine in order to sort of project soft power on a geopolitical basis, and of course here's the U.S. trying to fight that and say fuck the Chinese, and it's kind of like a tale as old as time, but it was interesting to see that. But then you consider like us being lied to by the government, which I bet everybody in this room pretty much, this is not going to come as a surprise, but I've never heard of this legislation that legalized propaganda in the states. So I really have two questions. If you just remind me what the name of that was.
Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. The original Smith-Mundt Act was 1948. And that was, we just got out of World War II. We saw the dangers of propaganda. You can like whip people up into a frenzy with it. Let's make a law so that we don't use that propaganda on our own people. We'll still lie to the world. Let's not get crazy. We'll still use propaganda on the whole world. We're just not going to use it on Americans, right? And that piece of legislation was minding its own business until Obama decided to change it with the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, which said, yeah, remember that part about not lying to the Americans? We're changing that. We're going to make it so that you can lie to Americans. Oh, and by the way, we're not going to tell you what the lies are. We're going to allow for a certain amount of what I call disinformation crickets. You know, the peanut butter. When you make peanut butter, you're allowed a certain percentage of crickets, 0.367 crickets per, I don't know, you know, that fall in there. But they don't identify the crickets. They're just so the disinformation crickets are in the information somewhere. There's an allowable amount. You just don't know where they are, right? So it's so they changed that. I don't want it to ever sound like pre-2012 they were telling the truth. Let's not get carried away. They were lying before. They were using propaganda against us before.
But to legalize it is...
But they just took the extraordinary step of legalizing it because they intended to really use it.
To date, has there been clear evidence, or say whistleblowers coming up similar to Snowden saying, "Hey, the government has actually leveraged this legislation to inject XYZ specific bit of information"? Because we can all speculate what's in disinformation, what's not, but if it hasn't come out yet, I'm sure.
No, there wasn't like. It was more a case of we're legalizing all of the stuff that we've been doing in the past and will continue to do in the future. It wasn't like it just started and now all of a sudden they're adding tons of propaganda in there. It's just like the lies have gotten crazier, though. I mean, the amount of lies are the same, but the types of lies have gotten exponentially nuttier.
Hey, Charlie, I missed most of your presentation.
That's all right. I'll do it again for you. Out in the parking lot, we can do it again.
Josh, I know Josh has got it recorded, and I'm sure Rodney will be in the background. So
Rodney can tell you.
It'll be real. There you go. So I just had two experiences today. One was Alex Jones and Dr. Martin, David Martin.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably as profound as Martin's address to the EU Parliament.
No.
It was pretty extraordinary. And the other was Mel Kay, who you've been on.
Yeah, I was talking to Mel yesterday.
There
actually.
you go.
Yeah.
And she was talking to Matt Arrett.
Yes.
And so many really good salient points. I don't quite agree with him on China giving us a break. I think they're helping us break ourselves. But
Matt Arrett, EHRET, if you're interested in good stuff. He's
brilliant.
He's brilliant. He's part of Whitney Webb's group over at Unlimited Hangout. He writes for them, writes for Whitney, and yeah. If you want to get into like old-timey like Cecil Rhodes roundtable type stuff, Matt Arrett is your guy.
He's got it all. Got it all. So anyway, I guess my question was going to be, one of the posits that he and she made in that interview today was that we're actually already in World War III, but the war is turned by the military, industrial, pharma, blah, 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 is turned on us. And it's a depopulation agenda, and they tried it with the shots, and it backfired. And they're trying new plandemics, scamdemics. They're going to try the monkey and all the stuff.
Yep.
And so I guess my question to you is, how much longer All right, how much longer are they going to be able to perpetuate all this PSYOP slaughter? I mean, it's not just PSYOP; it's literally physically slaughter.
As I will let you in on something. I am currently in the process of writing a book on depopulation, so I'm all over that topic. They love wars. They depopulate quickly, of course. There's plenty of ways to do it besides that. I think that the idea of the Civil War, where everyone wore unusual costumes and then lined up and ran at each other, and then World War I, where everyone was in trenches and got trench foot, and then World War II. I think that each war, the tactics change, the strategies change, the way in which they sell the war changes. I wouldn't be surprised if this new version of a war, hopefully not World War III, but if in fact it is already underway, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't look like you're expecting it to look. Only because they change it up a little bit. It's an information war, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, Alex, say what you want, but he is correct in that. It is an information war. Who's got the best information? And the idea that you can, false flags happen because they're very effective, they're super cheap to do, and they work. They put you in a state of fear. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about our leaders wanting to start a war just because it's a Wednesday, right? But I'm also concerned about our leaders thinking that they can start a war that nobody will ever figure out that it's them, because they know what happens in the aftermath, that people wind up missing, documents go away, history is written by the victors, all that stuff, right? So there's and papering over all of the, especially if you're a criminal, thinking it's only a matter of time before they catch me. I've been doing all this stuff in Washington, D.C. for all these years, and these people are right on my tail, and they're going to get me. They're going to have the Scooby-Doo moment where they rip the mask off unless we start this war. If we start the war, all bets are off. Then you can pull Rumsfeld and just throw your hands up and say, mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. Nobody's taking accountability. I fear that the most.
Last question.
Hey, Charlie. Thanks for the presentation. So my question is, what do you personally think about CBD being rolled out here in America, like before the end of the year?
Central bank. The question is, what do I think about a central bank digital currency being rolled out before the end of the year? Speaking of Whitney Webb, I was just talking to her about this. There is a belief that everything is going to be, like Federal Reserve, FedCoin, right? Federal central bank digital currency, that it'll roll out that way. And she was saying to me, what if it's a central bank digital currency, but it's not coming from the Fed, it's coming from Chase. It's coming from, your Bank of America. It's Bank of America coin. You go, well, that doesn't sound very scary. But you use it and use that as a way to get people on the on-ramp. That it isn't one coin for everybody. It's actually a basket of coins that have to do with the bank that you choose to use, and get people comfortable with that. Now, I also think that what they'll do with the, yeah. Oh, yeah. All of it is. And we've been going that way. And there's nothing inherently wrong about going to digital money, as long as you understand the difference between what all this stuff is. The media would love to conflate and just say it's all crypto. No, it's not all crypto. Bitcoin is different from a central bank digital currency by a lot. There's a lot going on. And Ethereum is different from this. And these the Chase coin or whatever, that's going to be different as well. There's stable coins. There's all this stuff. But if they can get the general public who's just confused about all that and doesn't know and doesn't want to know to think crypto, it's all crypto, they will use that to pull a fast one with the central bank digital currencies. Yes, it's been digital for a while. Yes, we have credit cards. We've been using that for a long time. There's nothing inherently wrong with going digital as long as you understand where the pitfalls are. And I think that they will probably try to confuse you with that as much as possible. And on top of that, I can envision a scenario, and I'm not trying to give these lunatics any ideas, but I can envision a scenario in which that bank run that I talked about, where you go there on a Friday and the bank's closed, and on Monday it's still closed, that some president, head of the central bank, whatever, somebody comes out and says, guys, what we've been through is terrible. All your money is gone, and we feel terrible about it. However, we have a solution. It's not the same, but it is something. What if we were to go back and kind of roll the clock back a little bit, a couple days before this whole thing went by, and we went and took a look at everyone's accounts, and we said, look, you got 10,000 US dollars in there, we'll give you 10,000 Fed coins. We'll make it up to you in the form of this central bank digital currency. We're so nice. We're so magnanimous. We feel bad for you. We feel bad that those people over there did that to you. We're going to take care of you. We'll bail you out. Here's the deal. We'll give you 1 for 1. Maybe we'll give you 2 for 1. We'll give you 2 for 1. We'll give you 2 for 1 to get it in now. But in 90 days, it goes down to 1 to 1. And then after that, maybe we'll give you 50 cents on the dollar. Maybe we won't give you anything. And they slowly put you into that system either by not giving you a choice to exit it or by creating a catastrophe that starts a stampede and forces everybody into it. I mean, and on some level, you have to think like a psychopath in order to understand these people. You know, none of these things would be good. None of these things would be what you would do to other human beings. They don't care about you. They have no problem doing that. So it's going digital. Don't be afraid of it. Josh can talk you through some Bitcoin and some Monero for sure. I mean, you might as well, as they say, get off zero. Get off zero with regard to some of this stuff. Even if you don't fully understand it, you're going to be light years ahead of everybody else. Have yourself some gold and silver. Have yourself some cash. Meet your neighbors. Have a network of people that you can reach out to if things get weird. God, used to be everybody had that. Now nobody does. Feels weird.
That's our talk. Give it up for Charlie.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to everybody for coming out. Don't forget to buy all of Charlie's books. Go to Johnny Hurley's memorial on Friday, and then come to our next event. Follow our social media to figure out what that is. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Drive safe, have a good night, and keep fighting the state.